Misty Marris here in the studio in Midtown Manhattan with me, trial attorney, legal analyst. Laura mentioned Mavish, our producer, in the courtroom putting out alerts, including this one a few minutes ago. More than half of the projected prospective jurors in the first panel of 96 excused, said they could not be fair and impartial. At least 50 let go for that reason. Is that normal day one of a jury selection?
You know, it's a little abnormal, but here the judge knows, and he started off. The reports indicate that he said, you have to be honest with me, jury pool. You have to say whether or not you could be fair and impartial. And a lot of times when somebody raises their hand and says, I can't be, there's more questions because a lot of people try and get out of jury duty, Connell.
Yeah.
And so there's an inquiry as to why. And those questions are asked. Here, though, to expedite this, it looks like the judge is just saying, okay, if we have people who can't be fair and impartial, we'll eliminate them and move on to the next.
But in other words,
pool.
that usually doesn't work. I mean, I have to laugh about it, but if I've walked into jury duties, oh no, I can't be fair. They usually ask you more, but in this case, they're just saying get out.
They're just saying get out.
Interesting, right?
Yeah,
interesting.
very interesting.
All right, let's
a little
go
different.
through some of these questions if we can. I'll go, because this is different and interesting in that it's a first time, whatever, as I said at the top, whatever you think, it's the first time we've seen this with a former president criminal trial. Some of the jury questionnaire questions, the first that I want to point to are on some of the media issues, as you see there. You know, which print publications, cable or network programs, online media, you know, what are you watching? What are you reading? Do you listen to podcasts? Which ones? How about talk radio? Which programs? Have you read or listened to any of the following books or podcasts by Michael Cohen or Mark Pomerantz? And they name some of them. So this is, again, not normal.
Right. That's very specific. Those are going to be witnesses, likely to be witnesses, or at least brought up in some capacity. We know Michael Cohen's actually the star witness. So to the extent that jurors are familiar with these podcasts or with these works that could have information that's outside of evidence, they're trying to narrow that down. But look, Connell, some of these questions, they're not as abnormal. Keep in mind, the lawyers, they can look everybody up on social media. So you're going to be asking questions about news consumption and media consumption in conjunction with doing that due diligence.
And politics, by the way. We put some of those up. We have the political questions that they asked, which, you know, makes sense as well, I would suppose. You know, you have a relative, close friends, ever worked or volunteered for Trump, you know, things like that. You worked in the administration or any group affiliated with Trump, ever attended a rally? You've gone to a Trump rally or even an anti-Trump event or rally, or do you have any strong opinions or firmly held beliefs about the former president? They even go down at the bottom. You see you know, do you support this QAnon and the Proud Boys and all this kind of stuff? So will this work? Can they get a fair jury for Donald Trump here in Manhattan?
It's obviously really, really challenging and difficult, but the best you can ask for are jurors who are going to listen to the evidence in the courtroom, and they're going to make a determination based on that evidence. Jury selection is a difficult beast, but that's why you have these lengthy questionnaires, and you have both sides looking to identify those jurors who are going to have those biases that could really impact the trial.
What about that gag order issue that Laura brought up? What's going on there?
I'd be interested to see what happens at this hearing next week. And as you said, what happens in between? Because there's just been nonstop communications, tweeting. So look, the court's going to determine whether or not the gag order was violated. Step one is a monetary fine. If those violations continue, it could be, you could go to jail. So Donald Trump is going to have to work on that and kind of toe that line between his First Amendment right to be critical of the process and violations of the gag order.
All right. First of many conversations I think you and I are going to have in the next, well, 6 weeks or so about all of this, right? Thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
All right.